For the last 20, 25, 30 years, I have met thousands and thousands of people. And they have come to me with many various problems, difficulties. Some are problems that are external, that are made from circumstances beyond their control. Some of the problems are made by people themselves out of ignorance or just, mistakes. Some of the problems are on purpose. And everybody always has some kind of problems and difficulties and issues. And that's the nature of life. That's the nature of samsara, really. If we're going to pursue samsara and materialism and wealth and fame and name and relationships and travel and fun, if we're going to pursue that, we have to understand the nature of those pursuits does not bring ultimate happiness, long-term happiness, genuine happiness, and stable happiness. So if we wish to pursue relationships, if we wish to pursue wealth and career and travel and fun and materialism and getting the latest branded items, and our goal in life is pretty much that. That doesn't make us a bad person. That doesn't make us bad at all. But what we need to realize is those external things that we pursue do not bring ultimate happiness, continuous happiness, genuine happiness, stable happiness. So therefore, when we pursue those things, in the pursuit of those, we will have to sacrifice so much of ourselves. And when we get those items that we pursue, we have to give up so much of ourselves to maintain it. And in the end, those things will be lost, those things will be taken away, those things will basically be gone. So therefore, when we pursue external activities or external pursuits for security and happiness and a sense of peace, that will never come. It will never come not because we are bad people pursuing bad things, but we are people pursuing things that has no real substance, that has no real permanence, that has no real ultimate benefits. So therefore, if we are going to pursue those things, we have to be in the know, or we have to understand that eventually those material pursuits, those external pursuits will bring some sort of unhappiness, some sort of instability, depression, fear, anxiety, a sense of loss of security. And as human beings, we all have experienced that in our lives. And when we examine carefully where they came from external material pursuits. So when we get ourselves into difficulties and problems, or sometimes the problems are just presented to us, then we're sometimes in a dilemma. And we must use our human intelligence, and we must use our best efforts, and we have to use our best abilities to solve those problems, to solve them in a way that is within the law, that is not harming others, and that also somehow brings an end to the difficulties we have. But sometimes in life, even if we do our best to solve a problem, it is really just beyond us. It is really beyond us. It is beyond what we can do. It is beyond our personal abilities, or it's just really way over our head. And so a lot of times I come across people who ask me for help when the problems have become serious, or the problems are about to come, or the problems have just started. I like to talk it through with people. I like to examine what solutions they may have. I like to examine the logic behind it, perhaps the avenues they can pursue. And there are many times that people really have tried their best or really have done their best and they can't solve it. And sometimes some of the problems are beyond just logic or beyond normal capabilities. So I have done many, many divinations. Divinations is using a dice authorized by my teacher to check into people's future. And a lot of times pujas come out. They have to do pujas, they have to do rituals, they have to do some prayers, they have to do some visualizations, they have to do some chanting to clear out that karma. Now, clearing out that karma, how is that possible? Lord Buddha said that whatever karma we create, we have to experience it. We cannot experience someone else's karma. Someone else cannot experience our karma, but we have to experience our own karma. Karma is something that we have done that creates an energy that remains potent and that will be triggered at a future time for us to experience that energy. So some people would like to think that karma is a punishment, but karma is not a punishment per se. Karma is an experience of the return of the energy that we have sent out to others or we have done to others. I repeat, karma is experiencing an opening of an energy that we have sent out to others, whether it's positive, negative, or neutral. So therefore, we will have to experience that energy. We'll have to experience what we have sent out to others. And Buddha never claimed to have discovered karma, or he is the one that created karma, or he is the one that recognized karma, and before that, it never existed. That's not what Buddha had said. Buddha is an enlightened being whose wisdom and omniscience has transcended anything within our dimension, within our world. Buddha's capabilities, his perception, is timeless, is omniscient, and it goes back, it goes forward with no limits. So in Buddha's awakened mind, he was able to perceive that beings experience happiness, suffering, anxiety, difficulties, depression, theft, loss, gain. Any experiences that beings experience. Beings not only including humans, but any sentient being, any living being, is a result of karma. So whatever people experience is a result of karma. Karma is something universal. Karma is not dependent on a god. It is not dependent on a outer divinity. It is something that exists as a natural, universal law. If you create an energy with your body, your speech, your mind, that energy is stored and that energy will be there and it will be triggered by our own actions at a future time. It could be in this life. It could be in the future life. But karma never goes away. It never disappears. It will always continue. So therefore, if that is the case, if we have created some karma to experience some happiness, can that be taken away? It cannot be taken away. But karma created that is triggered open to experience happiness will finish once we have experienced that happiness. Let's say we have the karma to get a nice, red, juicy, sweet apple. Once we get that apple and we partake of it, the karma to get that apple is exhausted. It's finished. So similarly, that simple analogy applies to all workings of karma, which is universal law. Universal law does not need to be created by a being, a person, or a divinity. It exists. It exists. So therefore, if that's the case, what do we do with karma? All of us would like to experience good things we have done and the karma to return, to experience good karma that returns from doing good things. We'd all like to have that. We'd all like to experience good karma coming back from good things we have done in the past. All of us have done good things. All of us have done very good things. So we would like to experience that karma. And we'd like to experience only that. Unfortunately, through ignorance, through not knowing, perhaps through sometimes unbridled emotions, we have also created some negative karma. So the negative karma we have created also we have to experience. And that's quite frightening because some of us, the negative karma and the experience of the return of negative karma is like a landslide. Once it starts, it just doesn't end. It continues and continues. And suffering as a result of negative karma can be mental. It can be physical. It can be both. Mental can be feeling anxiety, depression, feeling a sense of hopelessness, that even things around us are all right. We still don't feel satisfied. We always feel thirsty. We always feel we're missing something. We feel we're wasting our lives. It could be physical. It could be an ailment. It can be illness. It can be sickness. It could be short-term. It can be long-term. It could be an accident. It could be a fall. It could be anything, or it could be both. So none of us wish to experience any suffering. All of us wish to experience pleasant things. From the smallest insect to the biggest mammal on our planet to human beings, all of us only wish to experience the result of good karma. So therefore, if we have negative karma and we're going to experience it, how do we avoid this? What do we do about it? Now, a lot of us can understand that we have negative karma. If we didn't have negative karma, we wouldn't be in this world system, reincarnated, getting sick, aging, experiencing financial loss, ups and downs, emotional loss. We wouldn't experience all that. We wouldn't experience the fear of our impending mortality, our death. We wouldn't be experiencing any of that. So because we have to experience that, and then the biggest one is our impending mortality, our death, where once we close our eyes, everything is gone. Everything we are is gone. Everything we have done is forgotten. Everybody we know is gone. Everybody we have known is gone. We are gone. It's total darkness. So the fear of our impending mortality escapes no one. If you say to some people, you might get rheumatism, they say, yeah, if I do that, I might get rheumatism. But they don't take it seriously because the chances of getting rheumatism maybe are 50-50. Not everybody gets it. If you tell someone, oh, you might have a car accident. Well, there are people who've driven for 20, 30 years. They didn't have even a minor car accident. But if you tell people, or you tell yourself that, look, there's something that everybody have to go through and experience, which is death. None of us can escape that. None of us. And the Buddhist practice of meditating on our impending mortality and death is not to create morbidity or fear or some sort of unnatural state of mind where we always live in fear and we can't go outside. We become something like an agoraphobic, where we are stuck inside. The Buddhist meditation on death and impermanence and our body eventually disintegrating is to wake us up, for us to appreciate the people in our lives, the good things we have done, to regret the negative things that we have done and not to do it again, and to use the time we have left for something beneficial, for something good for others, to do something good for other people. So the Buddhist meditation on death is like someone who has a very, very difficult disease that the chances to heal are very slight. And they have a determination, boy, if I get through this disease, if I get well, I'm going to do this, this, this. I'm going to let go of this, this, this. I'm not going to have this fear. I'm not going to have this anger. I'm going to let go of my intolerance. I'm just going to be happy. I'm going to be good. I'm going to just have no more fear, because it's not the end till it's the end, till you die. So it's like someone who's very ill and who's determined to do everything they can and let go of their anger and their fear and their self-loathing and all these negative states of mind, because time is so short. We don't want to waste another minute on negative states of mind. And how do we get rid of them? We have to just say, stop. We have to just say, we're going to focus on the positive. So therefore, when we meditate on our impermanence and how fragile our body is, and how anytime we can pass away, anytime we can die, when we meditate on that carefully, consistently, and daily, you will see a shift in your mind. You will see a shift in your behavior. You will see a shift in your motivation and your interactions with others. That shift will be more thinking about how not to harm others, and thinking about how to be less selfish and less self-centric, and to focus out more on others and doing things perhaps that are beneficial to others, and to spend the rest of our time on something that has ultimate benefit. That is the purpose of Buddhist meditation on death and impermanence. And so therefore, when we have karma, when we have created some karma, I like to use the example of having a huge mountain, a massive mountain, and it's snow-capped. And every summer, the temperature goes up a few degrees, and therefore it melts the snow on the mountain somewhat, which becomes a river. Now in the winter, because it's cold, very little snow is melted. And therefore the river that goes down the mountain and down the valley and through the village is very mild and very gentle and very easy. But perhaps during the summers, that river can be torrential. It can be the water level can rise. It can be quite swift, and maybe even the currents are quite dangerous. And maybe with global warming, it's a few degrees even more. So more snow melts and the river actually rises, and it envelops the houses and the village that's around the shore. So when we observe this and we see that there's a trend that the river is becoming more and more and more torrential, what we do is we start perhaps doing things to prevent flood. Maybe we can put sandbags, maybe we can dig the river deeper, or maybe before the river comes to the village, we dig tributaries, we dig smaller rivers, so that when the water comes, it diverts and goes around the village. So that's likened to karma. Karma is like that river that comes down. If we know that we have done many things that are not very beneficial, we know that there's going to be a lot of karma coming back to us, and we're going to have to experience it. So instead of sitting there waiting like a sitting duck, we can do something about it. And what can we do about that? What we can do is that we can dig the tributaries around the small little village. We can have the water bypass. So instead of having one river going down the center of the village, we can dig ahead of the village where we have one river going around it, another one going to the left side, to the right side, to the center, and so forth. So you're not having the water recede backwards. You're not drying up the water. You are not building a dam and stopping the water, because karma cannot be stopped. What you're doing is diverting the water. So like that, karma can be diverted. Karma can be diverted by purifying the karma before it opens. Purification of karma is dependent on the 4 opponent powers. And I think everybody can do research on what that is without me having to go into detail about it. With the 4 opponent powers, if we apply, we can definitely purify or mitigate the karma. And through meditation, through study of Dharma, through holding refuge vows, by holding Sangha vows, by holding Bodhisattva vows, Tantric vows, and holding onto them steadfast, we can also mitigate or purify the karma. We can do purification practices such as Vajrasattva. We can do prostrations. We can do mandala offerings. We can do chanting. We can do meditation on emptiness. We can study bodhicitta, enact bodhicitta or compassion. We can serve our teacher. We can serve our gurus. We can serve the Sangha. We can help monasteries. We can do printing of Dharma books. We can do all of that to purify negative karma, which before it comes, it can be purified. So therefore, that fits into the law of cause and effect, where if there is karma, the karma can be removed, it can be purified, it can be mitigated, it can be extinguished. If we cannot purify karma or extinguish karma, then there is no way we can become enlightened. Since the Buddha taught the Dharma for us to become enlightened, that would logically make us say, well, then karma can be purified. Karma can be mitigated. It can be extinguished.